Yo, what's going on YouTube? I am Germ here, and today we're going to be going over 5 of my top picks for AK47, it might be 6 of my top picks for AK47 skins that I think you should be buying or should at least consider buying before CS2 comes out. I'm talking as far as investment-wise. These are AKs that have had at least some sense of performance historically, because obviously nobody knows what's going to happen in the future. Nobody knows how things are going to go up. Nobody knows what the best investments are going to be going forward. But I'm looking back at the graphs historically, seeing which ones have performed well in certain different price ranges and certain different ways, and have some upward trajectories and upward momentum going into CS2, because I think at the end of the day, that's going to be the best predictor of what's going to happen going forward in the future, is what's happened the most recently, what's happened over the past year, and what's happened historically. We did this for the op. That video did really well. It seemed like people really enjoyed it, so of course I had to make another one. If these keep going well, we'll keep pumping them out. I'll keep doing the research for you guys. I will say that for the AKs, I'm not as excited about as many of them as I am with the ops. I just don't think there's as many really good and consistent AK skins. I think the demand for AKs is much more spread out than with the ops, where there's like a few really good ones, but I still think we have some okay picks. So starting out with one that I'm not super excited about. It's more of a budget option. You know, I know people want to have the options to be balling on a budget and still, you know, making some money potentially or whatever. And with some of these cheaper ones, you can buy up a bunch of them over time as you get more money or build up your inventory. But this is the AK47 Neon Revolution. Now, of course, if you first look at this graph, it's not that impressive. It's not that crazy. Obviously, it's tough because you have this huge outlier at the beginning. So, you know, if we just kind of zoom in on what it's been more recently, still, you know, it's kind of been flat or downtrending for a couple years now. But more recently, it seems like it's hit some bottoms around this point, you know, around $35, $30, $40, somewhere in there. And really since then, if we just kind of focus in on this other area, it's been going up. Like I said, it hit about 35, it worked its way up to 50, it kind of goes back down to 40, and then it hits 50 again, and recently, obviously, with the CS2 hype and everything, it's been going up, and its new kind of range is around $100. You know, the cheapest one on the market right now is $98. Now, obviously, there is going to be a ton of skins that have these huge upward spiking graphs right around, you know, the CS2 hype and all that stuff coming out. So this is one that I would be a little bit wary of, but I do think that this one is okay. Obviously, it's an older skin. You know, it definitely has some demand. I think it's an okay looking one. It's a cheaper budget option, and at the end of the day, I think you get what you pay for. You know, if you want to go with a skin that's going to be under $100, it's going to be a little bit tougher to see as good a performance, I think. And I think some of these skins are cheaper, especially if it's older and cheaper for a reason. But I think the Neon Revolution could be an okay purchase. It does, like I said, over the past year, right now it's around $100. And if we look back to last June, you know, this thing was around $50. So it's kind of doubled in the last year. It's doing okay. Historically, hasn't been that amazing, but I think it's all right. This is another one that I think is just okay. I think it's not a bad investment. I don't think it's my favorite investment. I don't think it's amazing, but I do think it's okay. Again, I want to take some of this outlier data from the very beginning out, so we can kind of just look at the graph right here. And again, this is the Empress. This is the factory new Empress. Obviously, each wear is going to be a little bit different, but this is another one that had kind of been flat, if not downtrending a little bit. But then ever since we hit these bottoms around like $72, $70, it's kind of gone up. We get up to 80, we get up to 90, we get up to 100, and then it kind of stays flat around 100 before this most recent run up. So, you know, really from here to here, it had like a nice little jump going from 70 to 100, and then recently it's been doing very well, and the new prices are around $197. So like I said, if we just look back a year ago, we go back to last June, it's around 115. This thing's at around 200 right now. That's pretty good. It's obviously not quite doubling, but overall that's not bad performance at all. Now, again, is a lot of that to do with CS hype and things like that? Yes. And historically, has this one been a super sound, super amazing investment? No. So be a little bit wary of it, but it does seem to be one that has got caught up in the CS2 hype really well, and if it's able to maintain that hype into CS2 and into the future, this one could be one to watch out for, because at the end of the day, I do think it is a pretty good looking skin. It's definitely not bad, and obviously it's only going to get older, it's only going to get more rare, and hopefully more highly sought after. Next up, another one that I'm not super excited about, but I mean, this one I actually this is one that I do hope to own. I'm not sure exactly how to feel. This is one of the skins that really shot up in price because of the CS2 update specifically. You know, the gold Arabesque, the gold brick, whatever you want to call it. It is very, very shiny. It's probably going to look really, really good in CS2. And for these skins, they were kind of like flat or maybe going up a little bit, but then they had these huge run-ups around CS2. And I don't know if they're going to maintain that value in those prices into CS2, stuff like the blue phosphor, or I know there's a red M4A1S, that the hot rod A1S that kind of has the same thing going for it, where people weren't as excited about them until the lighting updates and changes. And I don't know if that hype is going to maintain, but it might. But either way, I do think the gold Arabesque is a very, very cool skin. Obviously, it's rare. Obviously, it's popular. And if we look at this thing right now, we're on Steam Analyst because obviously the Steam Marketplace, this doesn't have any gold Arabesque because the Steam Marketplace only trades up to 2,000. This skin, even in battle scarred condition, goes for around 2,400 right now. But here we're looking at field tested, which right now goes for around $3,200 according to Steam Analyst. And a year ago today, it was trading for around 1,500. So it has more than doubled in the past year. This is definitely one to keep an eye on. Obviously, much higher tier, but I want to give some cheap ones. I want to give some more expensive options. I think if you have a gold Arabesque in your inventory, even if some of the new lighting changes and all that CS2 hype dies down a little bit for it, I still think it's going to be an amazing investment long term. Obviously, it's going to be maybe harder for this thing to double, triple, whatever, but look at some of those high-end skins, like the Gungnir, the Dragon Lore. Obviously, people always said that about them as well, but they've had very, very good performance over the past couple of years. I definitely hope to own a gold Arabesque at one point, and I think if you have the money, the funds, and the desire, it's not a bad choice. So now, getting into some ones that I am more excited about, these top 3 AKs, these are ones that I really think are going to be really, really sound, really awesome investments. These are 3 that I'm very, very excited about and 3 that I'm likely going to be buying very, very soon. One of these I've already bought a couple of. So, first up is the AK47 Bloodsport. I mean, this graph just looks way better than any of the graphs we've been looking at. This thing, obviously, again, you take out the outliers at the beginning of when it first dropped and it's having these crazy price movements and everything. But since then, it was kind of $45 and it's just gone up. It hits about 50 in September. Then it hits about 55. Then it hits 60. It dips down a little bit, but then it starts to recover, goes back to 60 again. Then it gets to 65. Then it gets to 70. And then it has this huge run up with CS2. It was already on a little bit of an upward trajectory before all the CS2 hype, before all the new players and new eyeballs and everything on CS2. I think that's a great sign. Overall, I think this is a good-looking AK. This is a little bit of a cheaper one, more of a budget one that I do think will have some really, really good gains and is going to be great. Obviously, it's not in common cases anymore. It's not going to, the volumes and supply and stuff shouldn't be going way up on it. I think this one is one you definitely want to keep your eye on. And if I had like $100 or something like that, this is definitely one that I'd be buying. It's around $115 right now. This is for field tested. Obviously, like I said, the different wares are going to be a little bit different, but the Bloodsport is definitely one I would keep an eye on. I love it at these prices and in this price range. Next up, my top 2. These are the 2 AKs that I'm the most excited about. I think you can't really go wrong with either of these 2. They're a little bit more expensive, but not crazily expensive. This is the AK47 Jet Set. This is the minimal wear, and my God, look at this graph. This is like exactly what I look for in a graph. I love this graph. It's just consistently up over time for so long. We can go all the way back here to the very left of the graph where it's around $30. And if you just look, it just goes up. It goes from 30, then we hit around 35 to 40. Then you get some 50s and 60s, and then you kind of go back down, but then you get an 80, and then it just, it's staying flat for periods of time. Obviously, the game's gone through cycles and booms and stuff, but then now it hits a new all-time high up to 95, then it hits a new all-time high up to 100, and then 110, and now 115, and it's just been going up and up and up. And then obviously it's getting caught up in the CS2 hype like everything else recently, having this big explosion, but that's after it's already shown that on its own, without the CS2 hype, without the CS2 explosion, it can do really, really amazing things. Again, this is the AK47 Jet Set. Right now, minimal wear going for around $405, but man, year after year, this thing has just compounded and compounded and compounded and gone up. I think it's an amazing purchase. Yes, it's a little bit more expensive, but I think this is one we're just going to continue to see rise for years ahead into the future. And then finally, here is my favorite AK-47. I actually own 2 of these, and I might be buying more in the future because this is, in my opinion, the best looking graph of any AK-47. This one is even better than the Jet Set, even more insane than the Jet Set. Again, back in the day, this thing was $100. It's had its dips. It's gone all the way down to as low as like $50 or $40. But ever since it hit this area, it's just gone up year after year. You can just keep looking, and the prices keep going up, keep going up. There are, little dips here and there that are just the market, natural, all that stuff. But since it hit these bottoms around 350, this thing has just gone up. This is, I believe, this is the factory new, which right now is going for about $1,400. But I know you can get the minimal wear for like $500 or something like that, and it has a very, very similar graph. Hit these bottoms bottom's around 330, and like I said, it's already 1500. And if you look, it's 1400. If you look at the graph where we were at last June, you can see we're about 500. This thing has almost tripled in price in the last year. It's a super old, super rare, super popular AK. It looks amazing in game. It's got cool colors, the black, the white, the blue. You can use it for crafting. It's just got so many different things going for it. I think the Vulcan is for sure my #1 pick for AKs right now. It's one of my top picks for really guns in the game in general. It's at that price range where it's expensive but not too expensive. It's at a price where it can still, get into that thousands of dollars range where we're already seeing a lot of other skins in the game. I think it checks all the boxes. I love the AK-47 Vulcan. That's why I own 2 of them. And like I said, I could definitely see myself purchasing some more in the future. But that's pretty much it for this video today, guys. Hopefully catch you in the next one. But until then, peace.